This is the Ultra King MT, and it is the best trail running and hiking shoe that I've ever used. These shoes first came out in 2017. Like all Ultra shoes, they're zero drop. They are also minimally cushioned, light, and very aggressively lugged. This gives it a one-of-a-kind combo where it makes it light and fast on the feet, but still stable, have ridiculous traction, and also load your lower extremities without this artificial heel-to-toe drop. For the kind of hiking and trail running I like to do, it's honestly the perfect combination. And then right in 2020, right at the peak of their success, Altra decided to discontinue them. When the world needed them most, they vanished. I first bought these guys in 2019. These are actually the King MT 1.5s. When Altra discontinued them in 2020, I have been nursing them ever since. I've logged a few hundred miles on these, been all over the country with them, and they have never let me down. You can see I've beaten the heck out of them. There's holes all over the upper. Some of the outsoles actually started to flatten out and crack. But again, I've always stuck by these and I've been holding on to them because there really isn't a shoe that's like this. It's kind of a one-of-a-kind thing. That is until 2024 when Altra has decided to bring them back. They're back. They haven't changed a single thing about them, and I honestly couldn't be happier. I also actually went and bought 2 pairs of these. I learned from my last mistakes and I'm stocking up this time. I've been lucky to have already had the chance to get out on the trail with these. I've done a few hikes in it and a backpacking trip. These held up wonderfully. Let's go ahead and we can talk about the specific features that make it so great. The traction of these shoes is honestly what drew me to them in the first place. These lugs are super aggressive. They're 6 millimeters. Most of the ones that you can find out there are about 3-4 millimeters. Sometimes you'll find a 5 millimeter, but 6 millimeters not very easily found at all. I found that extra few millimeters really does make a big difference when it comes to gripping into the terrain. I wore these going up to the Tri-Pyramids in the White Mountains, which going up that north slide trail is notoriously steep. These guys held up perfectly. Any little depression or crack in the rock, these lugs found them, they held on tight, and they kept me going up the hill. Didn't slip a single time. Whether it was loose, rocky terrain, scree, wet conditions, flat rock, smooth surfaces, really didn't have any issue with the traction on these ever. Not on the previous model, and certainly not on these as well. For backpackers out there that are thinking about this shoe, I've had the chance to try these out on a short backpacking trip, just 2 nights in the Cascade Mountain Range. These held up no problem. I had a pack weight of about 30 pounds, give or take, and these gave me just enough cushioning with that 19 millimeters, no issues there. So next up, we'll talk about the stack height. So you'll see on these, they're not very chunky. I know that's pretty popular these days with those really thick midsoles that you'll see on Hoka's. Those definitely have their place if you're looking to do a really long run or you have a very stiff, rigid foot, high arches, some kind of condition in which your foot isn't doing a good job of absorbing the impact from the ground. A thick midsole would definitely help with that. But for most people, if you don't really have that kind of issue, it's probably overkill, in which case, essentially you're standing on this wobbly, thick pillow, which, as you can imagine, isn't really going to make balancing over scrambly or just uneven terrain easier. If anything, it puts you at a higher risk of rolling your ankle. So these have a stack height of about 19 millimeters, which I've found to be perfect. It gives you just enough cushioning so that way when you're logging those longer miles or you're on a more uneven or unforgiving terrain, a lot of sharp rocks or anything like that, you still get the bite taken out of the ground, but at the same time, there's no real issue with feeling like you're gonna roll an ankle or that you're standing on kind of like stilts, to be honest. I don't have them with me, but I actually tried out the Vivo Barefoot Primus Trail 3s, I believe, which are very minimalist. Almost too minimalist. They allow you to feel the ground pretty dang well. I'm talking the level of you can feel every single pebble on the ground. There's probably some people out there that really enjoy that level of proprioception and feedback, but me personally, I can live without feeling every single harsh bit of terrain on the ground. When it comes to wet terrain, these guys also do great. Again, with the aggressive traction, you're not really going to run into much issue when it comes to slipping on a wet surface or things like that. There's also drainage holes that all over the front of the shoe and the bottom too. These holes right there in the middle actually drain right from the inside of the shoe out the bottom. So if you do step in a puddle or something, then you're gonna be able to get rid of that water from the inside real quick. The upper too is made of this really thin, light material that sheds water pretty fast and also dries out quickly if it does get wet. That being said, as much as I love these shoes, I think the only thing that I would change about them is making them waterproofer. Yes, waterproof fabric does take longer to dry out versus regular fabric, but unless you're going to be doing something like a longer hike or backpacking trip or some situation in which if you have wet feet for an extended period of time that you're going to be at some risk of safety concerns, I think waterproof shoes are actually really useful. You don't have to worry about stepping in that puddle if it goes only a few inches deep. If you are somebody that would be considering wearing these for winter hiking or just hiking in places that tend to be more wet and rainy, I think that I would personally prefer to have an option that keeps the water out in the first place rather than dries out fast after water has gone. And I could see myself wanting to take these out for a winter backpack or winter hike and running into the issue of getting them wet and soaked through from snow. If you just imagine having a waterproof version of these and then pairing them with some kind of a gaiter that's waterproof, man, that'd be the perfect combination. It'd be light, fast on the feet, again, good traction, and you could throw some micro spikes on them if you wanted to. So Altra, think about it. So that's a quick overview / review of the King MT2s. Again, it really is just such a unique shoe when it comes to having that combination of minimal stack height, zero drop, lightweight, and ridiculous traction. I love these shoes so much, and I hope you love them too. Make these blow up, buy them out, sell them out. I want to see these on everybody's feet on the trail. Don't give Altra a reason to think of discontinuing these again in the future. I love them so much, please make it happen. For any of the other original King MT folks out there, feel free to comment down below which King MT that you still have. Is it the 1.0, the 1.5, the original 2.0s? I'd love to know which ones are still kicking out there. If you found this video helpful at all, please consider liking, sharing, subscribing. I'm a relatively new channel, so trying to see it slowly grow and put out more content that is helpful to you guys. So you can also comment below what other things you'd like to see. Other than that, thank you for watching.